is Ramble and Roll, a punk rock podcast.
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Ramble and Roll. This week we are sitting down with a friend of ours, Dave Barton from The Peelers. Unfortunately, we had some technical issues at the start of the interview, so we're going to segue really neatly into like the second question of our little conversation. So you didn't miss much. We were talking about the Peelers' roots in Glengarry County and the Celtic heritage there with things like the Maxwell Highland Games and all the influence of Scottish and Irish culture in the area. And from there we just got into talking about how the Peelers formed, and that's about all you missed. So apologies for the technical difficulties, but please enjoy the majority of our conversation with Dave Barton from the Peelers, who have an album coming out on March 12th. That is today, if you're listening on release day. Their new album, Down and Out in the City of Saints, is being released on Stomp Records. So without further ado, here is our conversation.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Oh no, it's
That's
all good.
Okay,
Man.
we've had them every time so far.
Yeah, it's I think it's just the way of the world now with technology. Like everything's like every day. I use Google Meet every day for work, and I still somehow something happens every day that like messes it up. I don't know. It's just the joys of technology.
Supposed to make our lives easier, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Theoretically.
So Peelers formed, but Boots and Suits didn't come out till like 2002, I think. So like for those first 3 years, you were just kind of doing like the covers, like traditional stuff, or like it just took you a while to get going.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we didn't really. I don't think we really ever. Well, I don't think we ever had a concept in the initial stages of going into the studio, especially not to record other people's music, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was always just kind of I just wanted to have fun, and we just wanted to get. I mean, I hate to say this now because it sounds so it sounds a little immature at this point, but we just wanted to get. Am I allowed to swear on this? I didn't even ask you guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Encouraged.
Man, we just wanted to get fucked up, basically, is what it was all about, right? Like, we just wanted to drink as much as we could on the weekends and sing the songs we loved and hang out and have a good time. And it really had nothing to do with trying to get into the studio or trying to formulate any sort of plan or original songs. That only started after a couple of years, and myself seeing friends that were doing it, and maybe not the sort of the rock level, but like just friends that were doing it from the area that were playing a lot in the US and traveling and touring. And I just thought, man, maybe we could do that and then get to see a little bit of the country and a little bit of the US and sort of on somebody else's dime, and that would be fun, right? So we initially it was just that. It was just having a good time, and then I don't even remember how it happened. I think I decided to write a song, and I came up with this first Peelers song, which is called Meet You at the Bottom of a Bottle, which I stole from Tom Waits, by the way. I stole the lyric from Tom Waits and wrote this song, and it was supposed to be sort of a Social Distortion-ish kind of, meets Shane MacGowan, Dirty Old Town kind of thing, and it wasn't meant to be serious, but people started to sing it when we would play it. So you say to yourself, well, maybe we should record this, and that's what happened. We decided to go in and went into a studio in Ottawa, which I don't think exists anymore. It was called Distortion Studios, and we went in and we recorded. I think the first album was 9 tracks, if I'm not mistaken, and you know, as much as I said I didn't want to record other people's songs, well, we ended up doing that. We did a couple of folk songs, Pogues instrumentals, and then we did some traditionals, which we just did our own versions of, and then the one original. And it was basically just to have, because people were asking us for CDs and just something to sell at shows. And, you know, the production value on it isn't that great. I mean, you can find it on, you know, streaming, or it's out there, but the production value is not the best. And you can tell it's our first album. It sounds like the first album, and you know, I can't even listen to it at this point. It is what it is, right? It's the evolution of the sound of the band, and that's where it started.
Yeah. I feel that totally 100%. Like the first Skelly Cat Rats album, I can't listen to it at all. And people like still like it, and like it's like probably like more popular than the second one, but to me, like it's just like, oh, it's so bad. Like I think it's just like one of those things, right? Like you hear everything that's wrong with it that other people probably don't hear.
Well, we just didn't have the time, right? Like the time and the money to do what we wanted on it, and that's the biggest thing. Is like, you know, that you gotta, you know, you're basically renting a studio for so many hours, as you know, and you're renting an engineer, and there's just no flexibility there. It's like we got to bang these as fast as possible because we're only in here for 4 hours or 5 hours.
Yeah. Right. One take, and get moving.
Yeah.
And it fucking sounds like it, man. Let me tell you. But it was fun. We had fun, and we had. It was the first time we had like, you know, I had like a guest on there. So I don't know, Mike, how much you remember Siobhan, the band Siobhan from Ottawa.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of along the same lines as us, and you know, very Pogues-esque, great guys. And their lead singer went on. He formed the Dreadnoughts, so he's in, and that's call him Old Jimmy, but Nick Smith. So he sang on that I think he did a couple of tracks on that first album. So it was fun. We just had our friends. We had Lorraine Miller from Kingpins on that album as well. So
that's cool.
Good times.
Yeah. Like there's just something about being in the studio that first time is always like special. Like even though I don't like that first album we did, like I'll always remember like actually being in a studio for the first time and doing it. It's like one of those things that like as a musician, you know, there's like all those like benchmarks you want to meet. Like I saw like you posted on Facebook the other day about finally having like a Peelers record on vinyl and like how cool that was. So like it's just one of those like those benchmarks, right? Go to a real studio, like record your music, like, and then having it on like a piece of wax is like another one that's like awesome.
It's crazy, dude. Like I still don't believe it. Like we have boxes of them sitting. I mean, I look at it and I still can't believe it's actually, and I mean, I'm saying that genuinely as well, right? Like, I still can't believe it's my album. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to hold a CD, you know, or a cassette, but like to actually have a piece of vinyl, you know, we like to have the actual, you know, sort of the, you know, that's where popular music started, was on vinyl, and it's just really strange to hold that something so genuine in your hands, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know about you, but like I would like the first time I put like the test press on the record, like I just watched it like go round and round. I was like kind of just mesmerized at like my band's like the sound is coming out of there. Like it was just like so cool.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we talked about first album, the second album, Liquordale. I think that came out in 2007?
2009, right?
2009.
No, I think, you know what, I just saw that the other day on Apple has it listed, I think, as 2009, but it actually came out in 2004.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense, because like the first time I heard you guys was on one of the Shite and Onions compilations, was Plastic Patty. So like I thought that came out like around that time. Yeah,
definitely, man, definitely. And but you know what, the running joke is like the running joke is there was a almost a 12-year gap between Liquordale and our next album, And so, and we get a lot of grief for that in the community, you know, from some of the writers in the community and some of the critics, and so for me, if people see 2009, it doesn't look as bad, right? It kind of cuts it.
Right. Yeah. So there's like every few years I go in and like they do a record, right? Nothing drastic, not 12 years. But yeah, I just like, yeah, I remember like, is it Shite On? Is it volume 1 or 2 of Shite and Onions of Plastic Patty?
Jesus, man, I don't remember. I really, and I haven't, like, man, we've known those guys for so long at Shite and Onions. If I had to guess, I think it's volume 2, but that would be a guess. That would be a guess.
I think so as well, because there was some like, because I think that was like I had it on CD. I don't have the first one on CD, so that must be the one that you guys were on. But like that had that compilation, like that was like after Dropkick Murphys, that was probably like one of the things that like really got me into Celtic Punk, was just hearing all the other bands in the scene.
Yeah, for sure, man. And there's some good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Some good ones.
But yeah, I guess that brings. Oh, sorry. Go.
And there's some
bad ones. Yeah. I mean, that's the joy of compilations, right? Like there's the gems, and then there's
definitely some.
You know what? That's what a compilation's for, right? It's a cross section, and you know what? To each their own, right? You listen to it, you hear something you like, and you go from there. That's the beauty of those comps.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you find that like some of the bands that Mike's going to be into, I'm not going to like, and vice versa. You know, it goes both ways.
Yeah, because like Scott and I, like we both are into Celtic Punk, but he likes like the harder stuff. Like I do too, but like I'm also like a lot more into like the trad stuff than Scott is. So like we have a bit of a different like taste when it comes to like Celtic Punk, which kind of brings us to your new album.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've got kind of you've got the progression from very traditional to very Celtic Punk, which is what the Peelers is. And it was always kind of headed that way anyway. It's just, you know, it was just a matter of finding people who wanted to do it, right? But yeah, and the new album's very much like that. It's new album's pretty heavy.
Yeah, the new album's absolutely awesome. I was very enamored with it on first listen, that's for sure.
That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, like like Mike, when he sent it to us, like I listened to it right away, and like I sent the link to Scott, and like we both were just like immediately like, I think we were like, this is the best album they've put out. Like it's so good. And like I was like, when Prize Fight came out too, the single that came out like a few weeks ago or a while ago, I was shocked like how much like punkier and heavier it was, like compared to like your other stuff, even compared to Palace of the Fiend. And I was like, man, like, is there even any traditional instruments on this? And like, I had to listen closely. I think there's like some fiddle on it, but I think that's it. So like, it was like, yeah, like kind of hit me right away that you guys went like a lot harder with this one.
And that's almost like a light point on the record too. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, but you know what, man? It's I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of it. Well, a lot of it actually is because, you know, a lot of moving in that direction is because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on a punkier, you know, a much punkier sound. And you know what, man, my dream was always to create the next Pogues, right? Like I wanted, and we had it at times. We had 8 or 9 people on stage at one time. And I've got the photos and the video to prove it, right? The problem with that, man, is like when you, at the end of the day, when you try to pay people, because because look, you know, a lot of us did it just for fun, but you know, when you start hiring guys that can actually play traditional instruments, sometimes you get into a situation where you got to pay them, and man, there was just no money at the end of the day, and on the road is the same thing, you know, like man, it's like next to impossible to bring, never mind 5 people on the road, like to bring a 9-piece band or 8-piece band, it's fucking next to impossible.
You look at a band like, I mean, a very different, you know, sound sonically and everything, but you look at like a Mighty Mighty Boss Tones level band where you're like, holy hell, there's, you know, 9 people before the crew.
I mean, it's just not feasible, right, at this level. So it was like, my thinking was going forward. We knew the album was going to come out on Stomp. We knew there'd be a different kind of direction in terms of the touring and the dates we'd be booking. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to turn it into something manageable. And that's kind of what I did. And so a lot of it comes from that. To be 100% honest with you, a lot of it comes from just wanting to be able to take the band that you hear on the record or on the album, being able to take that band and bring it on the road, and be able to recreate what's on the album on the road. That was a huge part of it, for sure.
Absolutely. I think one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you then, because having listened to a couple of the earlier records and then moving on to Down and Out in the City of Saints here, like, obviously, like you were saying, it's a huge shift musically. But what were you listening to a lot, like, while you were recording that record?
While I was recording which album?
Or while you were writing Down and Out in the City of Saints, I should say.
Oh, I was. I think I know where you're going with this because there's some obvious. I think there's some obvious influences on that album. I mean, listen, I'm a huge Rancid fan, man. Like, and you'll definitely hear some Rancid on there. Dude, the last couple of years, man, I've been all over the place. Like I've been listening to a lot of lesser known American punk, man, one band I've been listening to a lot is like Titus Andronicus out of New Jersey. Fucking amazing band. But then I cross over, right? And I've been Hold Steady out of Brooklyn, New York. I just love guys that can write lyrics and that can write hooks. And man, that's another band that's just like fabulous at it, So
that's Craig Finn, right? If I remember right. Yeah.
He's a genius, amazing songwriter, amazing lyricist, and I'm a huge fan of his. It would be a lot of that, a lot of ska too. I've been listening to I've always been a ska guy, but and then I've been listening to a lot. I listen to a lot of the bands in the genre as well. I'm like you. I like the heavier bands in the genre. I mean, aside from the Pogues, obviously,
that's like my gimme as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge Murphys fan. There's a bunch of them, man. But I'd say that's kind of where my head was at. And then I'm an Oi guy as well, so I like the old stuff. Sham 69 and Angelic Upstarts and all these kind of English Oi bands. So there's kind of some of that in there too. And you can hear that in the on some of the tracks, with the haze and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to a ton of Rancid, and I was always a Rancid fan, but I for some reason I just got into them heavy in the last 2 or 3 years, and I'm a big Lars guy, so like even Lars and the Bastards, and Old Firm Casuals is fucking love them. I love Lars, man. I'm a massive Lars fan.
The Old Firm Casuals have come a long way from their first 2 EPs. Like,
fucking band though, right? Like, I mean, to me, Lars is like, I just love the style. The guy's got the style and he's got the voice, and they just write great songs.
Absolutely.
I was at, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lars just writes those. Like he just writes. Like everything he writes is like infectious and catchy and gets in your head. Like he's got the voice too. Like Lars and the Bastards. Like I was listening to the first record the other day, and like it's just been like stuck in my head like ever since. Like just like all the riffs he writes, just like they're all like earworms. Like you can't get them out of your head.
And you know what, dude? Like and I also like I have a really eclectic taste, and I'm sure Mike would tell you this from seeing my Facebook feed. Like, I listen to a lot of hip hop too. So there's a lot of influences coming from a lot of directions. Iron Maiden, fucking Wu-Tang Clan. Like, I listen to a lot of stuff, man, and it's all. I like to think that it all comes at you and sort of formulates into one you kind of draw one sort of writing style from everything that you listen to. I mean, you're not going to hear me. You're not going to hear me dropping any rhymes, but I mean, but not that I wouldn't love to, but but definitely attitude, writing style, lyrical content, all that stuff, man. Like all those guys in the Wu-Tang Clan, man. Like that all means a ton to me because I listen to the lyrics and I know, I can't identify always with where they're coming from, but man, the picture they paint in your head is like that. That's the kind of thing that I go for as well.
Yeah, I just like this thought just popped in my head, but like I know you're saying you're not gonna drop some rhymes, but I just like like the Youth Brigade song like Men in Blue when they break out into the rap at the end. Like I wonder what like the Celtic Punk version of that would sound like.
I don't. If you're waiting for me to tell
you had your chance to drop it in the song Barry Square, Mike, and you just didn't do it.
Next time.
Listen, unless I can get Everlast. Remember Everlast from House of Pain?
Yeah.
Unless I can get Everlast to come in and do a guest vocal, I don't think we'll go in that.
Oh well, I mean, what? Oh God, what was the guy who did the IRA song, Mike? Jesus, from House of Pain.
Really? I have no idea.
With
the guy that did the IRA song, like every pub band in Ireland, pretty much.
Not even Ireland. One time Scott and I were at McGreevy's in in Boston for like a St. Paddy's Day week, and one of the bands I had playing in the pub just started playing like some old like IRA songs, and we were all just kind of like looking at each other, and then one of our friends like texts Ken and was like, like they're playing IRA songs in your bar, and he just texted back like WTF, like he had no idea, right? But like yeah, it's just
you know what, Mike, you're probably more likely to hear it on this side of the pond. Like people, the diaspora, the Irish diaspora here, people take that shit seriously, man. I like more, I'd never say more seriously than the Irish do, but you know what I mean? Like it's an identifier over here. It's something for you to latch onto. And you, as you know, in Boston and New York, man, there's a massive culture or subculture to it, right?
Yeah, like when I was in Ireland, I heard more Johnny Cash than anything. I don't think I heard a Dubliners song the whole time I was in Ireland, but lots.
They like the country music.
Yeah. So you recorded this, like you guys, the recording of this album, like you recorded it like before the pandemic, right? Or started recording it? Like what was the timeline, and how did like the pandemic kind of, hinder process?
We started recording it in December of 20. Christ, what are we now? 21. This year has fucked me up bad, man. December 2019, we started recording the drums. Beginning of December 19, and then we just we were kind of doing it slowly from there, just adding tracks, and then we went on tour in March. We were out west in March, and that's when the bottom fell out of everything. We were in Jasper, Alberta when the second half of our tour got canceled, and it was weird because we didn't really feel it going out that something was wrong or that bad things were coming. But once we got to Vancouver, we knew, I remember going to a Walmart in Vancouver, and people were fighting over masks, disposable.
Oh,
and there was no toilet paper. I remember that. I mean, it sounds cliche to say that now, but there was no toilet paper on the shelves. And we just knew at that point that something was up. Like you could just feel it in the air, We played our show in Vancouver, and then we went on, played a couple more shows, and then Jasper, Alberta was our last show, and we got canceled. Everything got canceled, including our big our Paddy Station in Calgary got canceled, and that really that hurt quite a bit. So I mean, just in terms of financially for an indie band right on tour, like it was our big payday, so it hurt. and it would have been a great time as well. But after that, things kind of changed, right? Everything got locked down, and it was like, well, how do we do this? Because we were trying to do things safely and trying to make sure that we didn't compromise anyone. And so it was just a process, like a lot of sharing tracks digitally. I mean, thank God for the digital world, right? Like, I don't know how we would have done this, 30 years ago, but man, to have Google, just have like Google Drive and all the, all these kind of tools available to you, Zoom and FaceTime, man. We just sort of did it like that. And when somebody had to go in and record their parts, we socially distanced and we made it work. And I think we were done recording by I think it was like end of May we finished recording, and then we started mixing and mastering beginning of June, and then had to go back in, had it remastered. Well, had it mastered twice, and then had the final album mastered for vinyl at Le Lab Studios in Montreal, which is like a big one of these big sort of mastering professional mastering studios. So it was a process, but I think we got everything done by about mid-June, and then it was funny, right? We just sat on it for a while because Mike and Matt at Stomp, we were kind of talking about when we should release it, and nobody really knew what the situation was going to be in the fall and whether we were going to pull out of this before Christmas, and they just kind of made a call and said, why don't we wait till March, till around St. Patrick's Day, and then hopefully everything's back, we're back on stage and things are open again, and it'll be sort of a good return, it'll be a good return for you to have an album and get back on the stage, and just it hasn't worked out that way, but that's kind of the decision to release it this Friday, March 2021 came from a decision from the label, and we were in agreement with that as well. But it all affected it, man. It's hard to say, like, how did this, like, none of us have been through this before. So, I mean, it's been brutal, right? Like, especially for musicians, man, like, especially for musicians that are doing this for a living, because I've got musicians in my band that's all they do. And so it's been tough. It's been rough, and I love them, and I hate to see them in that situation. They've been able to make a go of it, and fingers crossed. I know the label would like to get us out on the road in the fall, and I know we have some dates booked in May as well coming up. So fingers crossed that everything will even itself out, and we'll get the vaccines and we'll get back at it.
Yeah, because like for sure, like you said, like there's almost like, for a small band, like an indie band, there's no point of putting out an album if you can't go out and tour it, right? Because like that's that's where all the money is, right? Is like actually touring an album.
Yeah, man, and you kill all the if we would have released it in the fall, then you sort of kill all the hype and the momentum, and it just kind of sits there marinating for a few months, and. It's what it's like in the music business. It's what have you done for me lately, right? And so, you want to keep it fresh. And I mean, I've already got the next album almost written, and so nice. Hopefully later here we'll jump back in and we'll keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome. After the gaps that you've had between records, people will be excited to see you come right back with another one.
Let's you trolling us now, Jesus.
I mean, it's quality over quantity, right? You want to put out, you don't want to just put out like anything.
Absolutely.
You're talking to one of the biggest. I mean, I don't know, like, just from my perspective, I go back over my lyrics and the music. I mean, hundreds of times before I ever even introduce it to the guys. I'm a real, I hate to use that word perfectionist, but I couldn't do it. Like if I don't feel comfortable with something, it just sits there. And I'll give you a great example of that, right? Like on this new album, there's a song called Glad to See the Back of You. which, by the way, we have a video shot for. It'll be coming out a couple. And Glad to See the Back of You is a song I wrote. I mean, in theory, I wrote that song in 2004, and I didn't feel right for Liquordale at that time. And so I shelved it, and then I pulled it back out in 2019 and turned it into that too. So I'm bad for that. Like, man, I've got tapes and audio recordings of songs that I've never seen the light of day, and ideas, and you know, it's nice to be able to have them to go back and just pull stuff out when you need it, you know, and try and work on it when it feels right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely the same way. I would literally just demo a song that I originally wrote in 2010, and I finally figured it out and cracked it and demoed it like yesterday. So like I'm like 100% the same way. Yeah,
and you know what, dude? Just speaking from the perspective of this genre, Celtic Punk, so easy to turn into a fucking cliche in this genre. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really cognizant of that. And like, you know, I mean, man, there's enough bands out there doing, you know, just sort of writing about drinking and fighting and whatever else. I shouldn't say that. Half my songs are about boxing. But you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to become like an Irish stereotype or a Celtic stereotype, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm really cognizant of that. And it's always in the back of my head. Because we've done that before, and you know, I'm not comfortable with some of the songs I've written in the past, and that's just the way it is, you know, and that's okay. We don't play them and I don't listen to them.
Out of sight, out of mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
mind, you got it, brother.
It's like if you're working with, like, if you're in a Celtic punk band, like, there's only so many ways to write a song and still have it sound like Celtic, like, but you're also trying to do different things with it. Like, it's tricky, right? You want to like do new stuff, but like not like, you know, it's like you're balancing the two.
That's why I love the Murphys, right? Because, man, those guys, you know, obviously from Do or Die to today, like, those guys have taken that band in so many different directions, and they keep trying to, they keep coming out with something fresh. You know what I mean? Like, they keep to push the limits of the genre and push the boundaries of what they're doing with traditional instruments and punk rock at the same time. And it's some of their stuff, like, man, you know, they come out with a song like Mick Jones, which is like, that's a fucking great song. And it's just like, I can't remember if I don't even think the pipes are on it. I can't remember, but it's just a good punk rock song.
Yeah, that one's just like a straight up punk song.
That's the great thing about those guys, man. And I really dig what Ken and Al and Tim and those guys are doing there. It's amazing. And so they're a big inspiration, you know. Well, Do or Die is one of my all-time favorite albums. So, I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, me too.
Going from there, working from off of there, you know.
I think that holds true for all three of us here. I think that's one of the records that set us down the path here.
Oh yeah, when I was learning guitar, like, I sat down and learned like all the songs on Do or Die. Those were like the first songs I learned on guitar. Were all those songs.
Amazing album, man. Like, just genius. You know what I mean, like.
Yeah, like, and it's funny that like all these Celtic punk fans seem to kind of go through a progression, right? Where like Dropkick started out like very much just like oi street punk, like with some like Celtic influence, and like every album they built on that. And I think part of it was probably like when they got to the point around like 2001, they could actually start to afford having those extra members to like play those instruments on the albums, because that's like a huge part of it, like practicality wise for a touring band.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, dude. I just saw man, somebody just turned me on like a couple weeks ago to a show that they did at the Spectrum in Montreal in like 1989. Well, wait a minute, 88 or when did Do or Die came out? What?
I know exactly what show you're talking about. That is October 22nd, 1997 at the Spectrum in Montreal.
Oh, sorry, it was a little bit later. Okay, 97.
Yeah. I think that was the Boston's tour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the.
Yeah.
And you can find it on YouTube, and I mean, it's just basically.
I don't want to say you're welcome for putting it on YouTube, but you're welcome for putting it on YouTube.
Who put it on?
You did.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
He's got a what's your old YouTube channel called?
Yeah.
Lambrusco Kid. It's got like all these old Dropkick Murphys bootlegs on. So if you're watching an old Dropkick Murphys bootleg on YouTube, like there's like a 90% chance it's from his YouTube channel.
But yeah, man, and it's great, right? And like I don't know where they were on the bill. It was an all Boston bill. But I'm guessing they were early on the bill. And it's only the four guys, right? Like, see, that's where they started too, man. It's like we started as a three-piece, basically. I mean, we weren't doing what they were doing, straight up punk rock, but we were, even doing our poke stuff, but we were just a three-piece, and it kind of built off of that. But you see, man, like you get to a point where you can start to afford and feel comfortable bringing other musicians in, and it's just the way it works, right? It's a natural progression. Yeah. Thanks for putting that up, man. I love seeing those old videos, brother. It's brilliant, man.
Yeah, I've gone down a few YouTube rabbit holes, and then I like look at I'm like, oh, these are all Scott's videos.
I used to be super involved in the like tape trading community, so it's I had quite a bit of them lying around, and yeah.
I'm gonna check that channel out,
no
brother.
worries.
Thanks.
There's definitely some copyright infringement notices I've gotten in the email over the years, but at one point YouTube wanted to pay me to have the channel, and then they were like, wait, you don't own any of this, so never mind.
Yeah, hey man, I get it, dude. But you know what, at the same time, brother, you're spreading the love, like you're proliferating the music and the genre, right? And so from a selfish perspective, I appreciate that. So keep up the good work, man.
Yeah, because I think like a lot of those VHSs circulated, because didn't the band used to like
you could like
film
buy
those
them
themselves and like sell them at shows on the tour?
Like, buy them on the road.
Yeah, so like that's pretty cool. Like
it's just really cool to see that video too, because I mean I wasn't at that show. I'd like to say I was, but like just to hear those old, like the songs that were about to be released on Do or Die, and they're kind of working them out, and it was really cool to see how that works,
Yeah, there's one that always blows my mind. It's not one of Scott's videos, but it's called like Drop Kick Murphys, like 2 words, Cape Cod or something, and it's like them playing to like 3 people in a bar on Cape Cod, like back in like 1997, with like no releases out, just like they look like they're like fresh out of high school. Well, they're not fresh out of high school. They look like super young, like kids, and just like it's like, and then you go from that to like one of their like pro shot festivals in like Germany in like 2018 or whatever, playing to like 50,000 people, and you're like, wow, they made it far.
Hurricane Festival 2015. That's a fucking good one.
That is a good one.
Oh, we could go down this rabbit hole all day, but
yeah.
The Dropkick Murphys rabbit hole, and we could go down a Dropkick Murphys and hockey rabbit hole combined as well. But we'll save that for another podcast.
I mean, actually, we had one question about hockey.
Sure.
Scott, do you want to ask it? Me? Okay. So
you're gonna oh yeah, don't let the American ask me about hockey.
So Dave,
just kidding, Scott.
I know like you're a big Habs fan. So like does that put you at odds with like 99% of the Celtic Punk community who have adopted the Bruins as their team, it seems?
So I've thought about this before, obviously, I mean, I don't think it does, and I'll tell you why. Well, I mean, listen, I can't get inside the head of somebody who wants to hate my music or dislike my music because hockey team that I'm aligned with or that I support, right? I mean, I'm also a massive Manchester United supporter. I mean, so never mind the Bruins. I could seriously alienate an entire world of Liverpool and Chelsea Arsenal supporters as well, right? So I get it. And to me, you know what? If you like the music, you like the music. Yeah. My stance on it is I don't hate the Bruins. I never hated the Bruins. As a matter of fact, I'm a massive a massive supporter of the original six, right? Like I'm a traditional hockey fan. That's how I grew up. And if I was not a Habs fan, I would be a Bruins fan because I dig everything about it. I like the city. I've always liked the players that they've had on that team, and the jerseys are like the red, white, and blue. The jerseys are some of the best in hockey. Mm-hmm. So I don't begrudge anyone that doesn't like us because I might support another hockey team, but I'm just glad the Bruins exist in this world because if not, in a normal year, I'd have to watch the Habs play some of the other teams in the league that maybe aren't as and I'm not saying hockey in general is great to watch, but there's nothing like Bruins.
There's nothing like a game at the Bell Center. Yeah, I mean,
true too. And I've seen games in Boston too. Great, good times. But yeah, the Bell Center, man, I'll tell you, the Bell Center on a Saturday night when the Bruins are in town and everybody's come up from Boston for the game. You can't. I don't know how to put. I don't know how to put that in words so that somebody can understand the atmosphere in the town when that's going on.
I'm impartial, and I've been to one of those games, and it's absolutely unbelievable. There's really nothing like it.
Yeah, we were at one of those games together. Like our buddy Sean from Boston came up. It was me, Sean, Scott, a couple other guys, and like it was just like the atmosphere is just next level, like unreal. Like
yeah. I'd say I'd go as far as to say it's an even better atmosphere than the Habs and Leafs, like just because the Bruins support, and they get a lot of them. We get Montreal gets a lot of them coming across the border because it's so close, and drinking age is 18, and it's a good time, right? And those guys come up and they just have a great way about them, and it just makes for a more exciting time and a more exciting atmosphere. And hey man, I hope everybody loves the album. Please do not hold my hockey team. I mean, I'm from Montreal, so it's kind of built in, right? And it is what it is. And anyway, whatever. Let's just say big shout out to all the Bruins fans out there. I don't hate you. I hope y'all enjoy the album.
I was gonna say, I think most of it's like friendly, like it's all friendly rivalry, right? Like people like rib each other.
The only city where it's not friendly is Philadelphia. I mean, we can keep that perfectly clear.
So yeah,
that was an uncomfortable, awkward conversation.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I was just curious if you had any like.
What do I care? You know what, brother? It's a big world. It's a big fucking world, and it's a big music world. And you know what? If I was going to rely on only hockey fans to listen to my music, I'd be in a serious fucking. We'd be in serious trouble. So I mean.
Yeah.
God bless all the hockey fans out there. I fucking love y'all, and I love the game. And I've got a brother who works in the NHL, and I come from a hockey family. And if anybody ever wants to talk hockey, man, I'll talk about it realistically with you. And
yeah, it's kind of funny, like how punk rock and hockey kind of like just became like kind of like tied together. So like. Cause like, like back in the day, like the punks and jocks aren't supposed to get along. Right. And now it seems like hockey's become like the de facto punk sport besides soccer.
I'd agree with that. I mean, so obviously football or
football,
I mean, for me, that's when I was growing up, man, I was listening to like songs like Blood on the Terraces,
great song.
Very aggro English oi football football influenced English oi bands like Sham and like I said before, like Angelic Upstarts. I love that stuff, right? And I still listen to it on a regular basis.
Like the Business doing the whole hardcore hooligan record where it's just all songs about football.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned that you were like a Man U fan, that you were like worried about alienating like the Arsenal and Chelsea fans, but you weren't worried about alienating all the West Ham fans out there in the Oi scene.
Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what, man. Let me get them back on my side. I'm also a massive Iron Maiden fan, so up the irons, if you know what I mean.
There you go. I'm a Tottenham supporter, so like I really have no like I have no say in the conversation really.
I have many friends in the same boat.
I used to be on the Bayern Munich boat, and so not even a Premiership team for me.
Listen, boys. If we all cheered for the same team,
exactly.
What fun would it be, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's why Mike likes the Ducks, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm a Ducks fan, just to be a contrarian.
I mean,
it was the movies. It was the movies. I'm not gonna lie. It was the movies that got me. Yeah. Hey, but you know, I'm on the bandwagon now, and I'm not leaving. It's been like 23 years.
Listen, man, and that's the thing, right? You stay true to your, punk rock is about that too, right? Stay true to your convictions, man. You know, like
yep.
Believe in what you believe, and don't let someone try to change your mind. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that was like most of our questions we had for you. I had one other random thing I discovered while doing research. Did you know that there's like a San Francisco area band called the Peelers that do like top 40 mashup things? Is that something you guys are thinking about trying out?
Nope. But so I can tell you all about them because I know of all the incarnations of bands named the Peelers in the history of the United States. At this point. So there was a band in Chicago. I think they were kind of like a punk band. This would have been early 2000s, and they were called the Peelers. And we got a cease and desist letter from them, or was it a letter or an email? I can't remember, but it basically told us that the name the Peelers was service marked in the U.S. And I said, service marked? What the fuck is service marked? So I looked that up, and it doesn't really mean much, to be quite honest. So I just wrote them back and said, okay. I mean, what do you want? Like, we didn't change the name, obviously, and they're gone. I don't think they exist anymore. Then about 3 or 4 years ago, I started getting emails or Twitter messages from people saying like, hey, I work for IBM and we want you to do our Christmas party this year. And I'm like, fucking IBM Christmas party. Like, do you understand what kind of band this is, And kind of went down that rabbit hole to figure out that they were trying to contact this other band named the Peelers in Northern California. I think they're still they're like a top 40 sort of like massive, like full horn section, and they're a corporate gig band, and when I get IBM or Microsoft emailing saying, would you guys like to do our Christmas parties? Part of me is like, fuck, I'm going to email back and see how much. And will you fly?
I think someday you got to just say yes to one of these, just so they, I feel like if they keep emailing you, they got to get what they deserve, and you got to just do this,
And then it'll, and then that's real rock and roll. It'll be like I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Spinal Tap, but like Spinal Tap playing the Air Force ball, like dressed formal ball, like this thing, I would guess. But no, you know what, man? The Peelers is actually we actually went and registered the name, so technically they are using the name illegally.
Oh,
Peelers is a registered trademark in North America, or in Canada and the US anyway. So we just haven't got around to but I don't really see them that active right now. Like, I haven't got any of those messages, and I don't know what's going on with them. But if it keeps becoming an issue, then we we'd have to get a lawyer, send a letter.
Yeah, it's funny because I was like, I just was like, I wanted to look up some like your like live videos because it's like it's been a while since I like seen you guys or anything. So I was like, want to see you like just get in the mood, right? Like I've listened to like the new album like a bunch of times now. So like I put in the Peelers live and like your videos are there, but then like interspersed were all these other like it's like this huge band like playing these like top 40 things, and I was like, what is that?
So,
yeah. You know what, man? And listen, eventually, one of these days, we'll get around to jumping on that, and you know, we can get that all fixed. It's just time and money, right? And you know, listen, we're registered, so we own the name.
So you're telling me I'm not going to get a Celtic Punk like, let's see. I mean, my favorite band in the world is the Toy Dolls, and, you know, they've covered Ricky Martin in the past. They've done a little bit of Europe. They've done a little bit of everything and kind of made it their own. So you're telling me we're not going to get a Celtic Punk version of like a Lady Gaga song or something one of these days?
Honestly, brother, I'm sure. Listen, I have full respect for all other artists. I couldn't name you a Lady Gaga song. I'm sure she's. I just don't. She's just not on my radar. But I mean, I get what you're saying, though. You know, I don't know. I'm not much for covers, man. I'm really not. Like the Peelers. You look at our albums. Like it's been this progression of like going from you know, pretty much all traditional songs to a few traditional songs and a couple of covers to one traditional song to this album, which is all, you know, 10 songs that I wrote and they're all mine. And I like that way. I'd prefer to do that. You know, nobody wants to hear, with all due respect to you know, there's a lot of great covers out there, man. A lot of bands take the covers and make them better than the original, you know, on occasion. It's just not my thing. And it's just like, I wouldn't want to hear myself sing somebody else's song. That's just me though. Absolutely. You know, personal preference.
100%. And I think, you know, there's definitely something to be said for just an album of all originals, especially within the Celtic punk genre, because so many artists do kind of heavily rely on, you know, previously existing music. And so it's really nice to hear something where it's just entirely, you know, you've written the entirety of the new record, and that's awesome.
Not an easy genre to write in, I have to say. Like, you know, so I mean, like, obviously I can't, like, I've tried before to write from the perspective of an Irishman or a Scotsman, and it's not really my place to do that. And I can't really do it from a place of any sort of like I can't be genuine about it, right? So I stopped doing that, and everything I write now is all personal experience, people I've known, people I've met, and then occasionally the occasional fictional story or something I just make up, you know, like. But for the most part, they're all kind of lived experience and amalgamations of characters. And great story. There's a song on the new album called it's the 5th song on side A, and it's called Stick and Move, and it's about a Irish boxer named Gary Spike O'Sullivan, and he's legitimately an Irish boxer today. Like he's a current Irish boxer, right? Like and so I met one of his trainers online, and then it's funny because just today I got a message. I had said to his trainer, Reg Byrne, like, you know, is there any way I could get you guys a couple of copies? I'd love Spike to hear the song because it's a complete tribute to the man. You know what I mean? Like, but it's just my perspective, right? And he's fought for Murphy's Boxing as well.
Yep.
He's so I sent a message to Reg, and then man, if I didn't get a voice message this afternoon from Spike, because Reg was I guess they were training. They were in the same gym in Dublin. And he just gave me this beautiful message saying how he was so flattered and couldn't wait to hear the song. And oh man, like, talk about making my day, you know, with that nice Cork accent, you know, like.
That's awesome. Because we met Spike, didn't we, in Boston? Wasn't he at that
Yeah,
Murphy's boxing event we
Yes.
attended? Yeah, he's so like when that song came on, I like picked it out right away. I'm like, oh, this is about Spike
You
O'Sullivan.
messaged
that was,
me
it was
like
pretty cool.
immediately about that.
Yeah.
Dude, I love his style. You'd know him because he's got the
he had the mustache. Yeah.
handlebar, whatever you call that. Like, yeah, man, he's got a great style. And you know what? That guy's tough as nails and never quits, man. And you know, like I don't want to go dark on you guys at all, but like, you know, I'm as somebody who struggles with mental illness, and I have in the past, and you know, sort of it's a continuing battle, as you may or may not know, you know, like that's a guy that never quits, man. And I look up to people like that. Like, you know, he's going to fight right till the end, you know, like even if he's getting hit, and that's a guy that does not quit. And I take a lot of, you know, I take a lot of pride in supporting people like that. And they keep me going as well. So yeah, Spike's a good dude, man. And God, you see my face when I got that message today.
I bet.
Crazy dude. And hey, man, who knows? Like, love to get him in the video. I think the first video is coming out in a couple of days. It's Glad to See the Back of You, and then we're shooting Prize Fight as a video. And then I'd love to have him. We're going to do Stick and Move as the third video, and I'd love to somehow get him in it. But we'll see. The seeds have been planted. So
that'd be awesome. And that song kind of like joins the like pantheon of like Celtic punk songs about boxers now, right? Because like
I often write about boxing. I've got a few songs on or a couple of songs on Palace of the Fiend, Going Down Swinging, Stand Down Cleary, and then on this album there's a few as well. And it's a sport that I've always loved. And like I was kind of getting at, I love the competitive spirit, and I love the never say die attitude, particularly of the Irish boxers and Irish fighters, you know. So yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, man. I just, it comes naturally to me, you know.
Yeah, it's I think it's like one of those sports, right? Like it's exactly what you said about like the never give up attitude, not just like, I feel like the attitude that like some of those like Irish boxers have, like kind of like really goes hand in hand with like not only like Irish folk, but like punk and like Celtic punk and like the like tough as nails, like never give up.
Absolutely. And just like the competitive spirit
straight ahead
with it. I feel like you've got to be
do or die.
Yeah, because like like Flogging Molly did a song about John L. Sullivan. The old Murphy song Blood or Whiskey is about John L. Sullivan. Murphy's did a song, the Mickey Ward song. Mahone's, I guess, Paint the Town Red is kind of connected to like with the fighter.
Yeah.
So then we got Stick and Move in there too. And I'm sure there's plenty of others I'm not even remembering.
Oh, well, you listen, brother, if you're telling me it's going to join the pantheon of all the songs, then I'm fucking more than flattered, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of my, it was hard to pick a favorite song on the album. Like Scott and I were trying to do that before. That's one of them. The title track's one of them. It's a great song. Like the whole, like from front to back, that whole
when you said you did the video
is like when people listen to it,
Glad to See the Back of You, I was like, that's awesome, because I think that might end up being my favorite song on the record.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool video, man. I think you'll like it. It's pretty cool. I mean, listen, we had to shoot that video pandemic style, right? So and especially in Montreal, where everything is still completely locked down, like Montreal's still in a red zone. So it was very difficult to shoot that video, but it really turned out well. And it's funny when you talk about Mike about the songs that you like I've heard obviously from a lot of different people over the past couple of weeks, people that have got that have had advanced exposure to it, like yourself and Scott, and it's everybo's got a different opinion on the songs, man. And to me, that's great, right? Because I'm hoping that maybe I wrote an album that appeals to a lot of different people, you know, and you can kind of listen to it and find something in every song, you know?
Yeah, because like I pulled up the track list for a second to look at it, because another one I really liked was Spirit Seldom Sober. I really like that song too. Like the lyrics, I I love the lyrics of that one.
That's another song actually that I wrote in 2004, and then I just pulled it back out and cleaned it up. And that song, that story is an amalgamation of the history of the band from like the year we started touring, which was 2002. We started touring in the U.S. and Canada. Sort of that song is an amalgamation of all the stories over that time. And if you read the lyrics, there's some really interesting experiences in there. And it's fun because all the, some of the guys that have heard it that are not in the band anymore are like, oh, yeah. Like Christopher Stewart, Stewie, as he's known as used to be my drummer. And, he heard that song and he said, man, I'm just so glad I was around and I survived verse 2. That's what he told me. So
that's great.
Compliment you can get, right?
Yeah. Speaking of your band members, what was the personnel for this album? Like maybe give the guys who were on the album with you a little credit for their contribution.
Yeah, because and I'm glad you mentioned that, because look, I write the songs and that's fine, but I rely on these guys to bring it to life. It's all in my head, and I got to get it out of my head and get it and make it sound like I need to get what's here onto tape. And man, the guys in my band, most of them have been around for a long time, and they do a fantastic job of that. So Scott Mitchell is my bass player, but he also played most of the guitar on the album as well. So he did almost all the bass and guitar on the album. My Irish whistle player / organ player is Eric Double Diamond, and he's my best friend, and him and I are the only two originals in the band still. Fantastic guy, just brilliant, Johnny Mormon from Montreal, amazing fiddle player. Guys play with everybody, like it's been all over the world, played with all the big names in the genre, and just great dudes. Played with the Mahones as well before, and I've known him forever. And my drummer was a guy named Will Lorang, and he plays in a couple of blues bands. Man, he's a punk guy, and he really wanted to work on this album, and man, he brought so much to the table, dude, in terms of the drums. Just like he brought some of those songs to life, and I was really excited about having him. And am I missing somebody? I think that was it for the album. Well, I had some guests, right, as well. I mean, that was most of the actual personnel on the album. But then I had some guests. So I had Sean Ryan from
Sean.
Yeah, who I've known forever. Sean sang on that song you were just talking about, Spirits. Had Dan Garrison from The Core out of Vancouver. Mm-hmm. Dan, amazing guy, dude, toured with the real Mackenzies for a few years. Mm-hmm. Like brilliant guy, and one of our good friends. And God, I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. There was a few guests on the album anyway. And a guy named Kevin McNeil. He's a banjo player from back home. Fantastic. See, that's a great example of a guy, I'd love to keep that guy around, full time, but it's hard, man, it's so hard that, with the way things are going in music, it's just so hard to keep those guys on retainer, but all good dudes, man. And I gotta throw one big shout out to our producer, our engineer and producer, Pierre Pinot, Audio Suites Montreal. Like that guy, we've worked with him on our last 3 albums, and guy's a genius, and I love working with him. Super easy to work with, and he doesn't come from a punk background. He doesn't come from a Celtic background. He's a rock and roll guy and a pop guy, but you know what, man, him and I totally work well together, and he gets what I'm trying to do. And when you find somebody like that, it's hard to go somewhere else. So yeah,
like the person you have in the studio, the like producer engineer, like if you're not like meshing with them, it's gonna like throw everything off. It's like I think you can't just go into the studio with anybody. I find you have to find somebody who like gets what you're going for.
You have to find somebody you're comfortable with.
Yes.
We toyed with the idea of going with somebody else at the outset of deciding to record this album, and man, the more I thought about it, the less comfortable I was with that. I mean, we know what we're getting, and he knows me well, and he knows how to get the best out of all of us. So it was a no-brainer,
Absolutely. When there's a fit, you got to just stick with it,
Yeah, man. Well, listen, someday when, I don't know. I'm trying to think of one of the big producers. When Bob Rock's available, and
maybe if Lars ever starts producing again, you get him to do your next. Maybe get him in there.
Lars Ulrich.
That'd be one way.
If you want that distinctive snare sound on it, little.
No, you had it right the first time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's awesome, man. Because yeah, like going into the studio, like it's expensive. Like you got to get like time is literally money. So like if you're comfortable with the people you work with, and that's like just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, like it's a labor of love, right? So you might as well love it in the studio. Like we'll never see the money back that we've put into this band, and that's fine, right? Like I've been able to travel around, tour around, and meet amazing people like you guys, and just like, I've had all these great experiences, and that's something that money will never, money will never buy that, right? So I'm fine with what we've done, and yeah, I mean, I won't be retiring on my yacht, but like I'll be fine. I'm leaving something behind, right?
Right. Yeah. Because going back to like having your music on vinyl, that was like the one thing I thought of when I had it on vinyl. I'm like, this is like something that like will be around for a long after I'm gone. Like I have records from like the 50s and 60s, and like all those people aren't around anymore. So maybe one day this record will be in like somebody else's collection. So it's
you say that, but Keith Richards is still here, Mike.
Isn't that what it's all about, though, man? Is to leave some kind of leave your footprint behind somewhere for something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get sappy or start pulling out literary quotes, which which I've been known to do in the past. But that's the whole thing, right? It's like like what's your, like, what story are you going to write in this lifetime? What are you going to leave behind? What are you gonna what's going to be the footprint that you leave when you're gone? And money doesn't, money can't buy things like that, right? It's about art, man. It's about creating something or social or social justice or doing something that people are going to remember when you're gone, listen, man, I'm going to be a blip on the Celtic Punk roadmap. But I tell you what, I know now that I've written some good music, and that I'm going to leave behind some good music as well. So I'm pretty proud of that.
One moment that I will literally never forget is we were in Boston maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I don't remember what year it was, Mike, but we were standing in the bar at McGreevy's, and all of a sudden you look up and there's this guy wearing a Scally Cap Rats t-shirt in Boston. It's around St. Patrick's Day, so it made sense. But like, it was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How cool is that, right?
Well, I went up to him and asked him for a picture. Like that's how excited I was that some dude in Boston had my shirt.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm still really amazed by and uncomfortable with that whole situation. Like when I see people at shows with Peeler shirts on and they're singing the words, like that's really new. That's still really something that doesn't get old. You know what I mean? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, man, if you can write something that moves someone enough to want to learn the lyrics to it, or to sing along with it, man, that's what it's all about, brother. And
yeah.
I got to say, you guys and your McGreevy's, adventures, like, I'm jealous every time I see that, see you guys on stage with the Murphys singing. I think you sang Road to the Righteous possibly, or something like that.
No, I got to sing Never Alone with them.
Oh, Never.
Like a sound check, yeah. And yeah, that was really cool. Like It was like a sound check, and they did it for it was like a Cloud-a-Fun thing. You donate to the Cloud-a-Fun, you get to go watch a sound check. And then Ken was just randomly like, if anybody wants to sing a song with us, but he was like looking right at me. So I was just kind of like, I'll do it. And then, yeah, that's how that happened.
Good for you, man. That's brother. You can't that's an experience, man. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'll never forget that. And then, but I got up on stage, and then Al threatens to punch me in the balls if I fuck up the lyrics. So I got that in the back of my head. And then Tim starts making fun of me because I was wasted the night before. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I saw you asleep up against the pole last night. And I was like, well, I'm here now.
Yeah, man. Dude, those guys I don't really know those guys well. You know what I mean? I've met a couple of them, but I don't know them as well as you know them. But man, I got to watch them in Toronto. I was playing with the Mahones in Toronto, probably 2007, meanest of times, I think, maybe tour, and we were doing a Murphy's post party, Dropkick Murphy's post party gig I think it was at the Bovine, I want to say, but can't remember for sure. But I got to stand side stage and watch those guys that night, and I was standing there actually with Tony Duggins from the Tossers. They're a great fucking band, by the way.
Yes.
And man, just watching those guys side stage, so pro, so tight, so happy. It was just like fucking hell, man. This is so good. And it's like, I got goosebumps just thinking about it, just such a great band and so pro. To me, that's the big thing about those guys. They're so professional, it's easy. Listen, when we started, man, all we wanted to do was get drunk and try to get through the night, but at this point, it's not about that anymore. At this point, it's about giving people what they're paying for. And man, those guys know how to do that really, really well. And, I couldn't be a bigger fan for sure.
Yeah. So you were playing with the Mahones then. Did you do the after show they played in Montreal too that year?
Chaos.
Yeah, Cafe Chaos. Because I was at that show. I didn't meet you that night, but I was there.
Yeah, I got a good picture somewhere of Scott'll like this. There's a picture somewhere of Scruffy and I singing in the same mic, and Scruffy's got his arm around me, and somebody had put I think it's a Boston Bruins Stanley Cup champions hat on my head, a cap on my head. So yeah, I'm looking around out there somewhere.
I've tried to get one of those guys to put on a Colorado hat multiple times, and it just won't happen.
God, how did you become a Colorado Avalanche fan?
Yeah,
oh, Drury.
I mean, when you're getting free jerseys thrown at you when you're a kid, it's pretty easy. And then you watch the on ice product at the time of Forsberg, Sakic, Adam Foote, Rob Blake, eventually Ray Bourque. You really can't. Thank you for Patrick Waugh, you really can't.
Worst trade ever. Okay, we're going down that rabbit hole again. Anyway.
I think we've exhausted all our topics, unless we've talked about everything I was interested in talking about. We talked about Oi, we talked about hockey. Yeah. Celtic Punk, the new album.
I think the only question that I had that was left unanswered was, if you could only pick, say somebody had never heard the Peelers before, you can only pick one song to have them listen to. Which one would you put in front of them?
That's tough because I want them to realize that we have that Celtic influence, but I also, to me, Prize Fight is a great song. And I think someone would listen to that and go, "Wow, that's pretty cool," but not get the Celtic angle. You know what I mean? There is fiddle on it. But, man, fuck, that's a tough one, brother.
If it's easier, we can make it two, so you can kind of cover both sides of the coin. I mean,
in that case, I'd go Prize Fight for sure. And then, I'd just take two songs off this new album. I'd go Prize Fight and probably, fuck, man, it's so tough. It's like picking your favorite kid. You know what I mean?
He did this to me the other day by making me pick 3 punk albums to give to somebody who had never heard punk before.
You did
Only
the same
3,
to me,
you know?
Mike. So I don't think that that's a fair representation of this.
Yes, I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago with K-Man from K-Man and the 45s out of Montreal, and he asked me basically this. He was like, give me 3 albums that you're taking to a desert island, or to an island with you, right? And man, it's so tough because there's so many good songs and so many good bands. But listen, man, I'll go Prize Fight, and I'll go Glad to See the Back of You, because Glad to See the Back of You, that's a song I've been working on forever and just couldn't get it together in 2004, couldn't get it together in 17. And finally I was able to just create something. And man, that song to me, when I hear it, the bridge and the last verse, just like, that's what the Peelers is all about, that song, so. And I think you guys will see that it's reflected in the video as well. So yeah, I'll go with those 2 songs. And but listen, man, it depends what you want, right? We're a Celtic punk band. We've definitely written some Celtic-ier stuff, and I can say that. We've definitely some more traditional stuff, and but it's always had that edge though too. It's always had that vibe. This album, the new album, definitely is like full on. This is a lot heavier and a lot more guitar driven, and it's kind of what we were going for. So yeah, I'm very proud of this album. Can't wait for everybody to hear it now when it comes out on Friday. And I'm glad you guys like.
I think you absolutely nailed it on this one, and I think that I look forward to everything that's to come for you.
Let's hope, right?
And hopefully on the other side here, I'll be able to catch you somewhere.
Brother, what's that place? What's that venue just north of Burlington? Oh man, I think we were booked to play there at one point. It was kind of like a big music venue, like a big club. It's just
Higher Ground is just outside of the city, and that's like the only big club here.
What town is that in?
Burlington, I think.
I think that's the place I'm thinking about. Yeah, it's kind of they get like sort of
it's like there's 2 stages. There's like an 800 cap room and then like a 275 cap room. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, man. Brother, listen, man. We love touring in the U.S. It's my favorite place to go and play. So I can't, let's everybody get vaccinated, get the borders open, so we can get back down there.
When we get there, I'll try and book you somewhere in town. We'll see what we can do.
Wait, Alex at StompRecords.com. I you know what? I'm so happy that my booking, actually, that's not true. U.S. booking, yeah, you might be talking to me, but man, it's so nice to have Stomp Records on board, and just let me throw that out as well. Like, can't say enough about Stomp and about all the guys there, Laura, Alex, Matt, Mike. Man, they've been so good to us, and we've been trying to work with them for so long, and we finally got it done. And yeah, man, just couldn't be happier with that label. And check out all the other bands in that label too, because they're all fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been going, like, I saw Planet Smashers like way back when I was a teenager, like the Stomp stage at Warped Tour. That was like my jam. I love everything Stomp Records puts out pretty much. Like, they're just, like you said, great people. Matt's awesome. Mike's awesome. Laura, she's great. They've been super nice to me for no reason. I've been like, every time I'm around them, I've been like drunk and annoying, I'm pretty sure, but they've always been super nice. Plus Mike gave us the advanced copy to listen to.
Thank you, Mike.
I was really grateful for that, because that, like Scott said, like, it like blew me away. Like, I started talking to Scott right away. I was like, you got to listen to it like right now. It's so good.
Yeah, I think Mike and Matt are pretty stoked about the album, and they've been really supportive of everything we've wanted to do and everything we've done so far. And man, they're like, listen, man, you cannot underestimate how great those guys are for Canadian music and for independent music in Canada and for the Montreal scene. Like, man, it's so hard to do it these days. So hard to keep that going. And those guys have really made a run of it. And I'm proud to be part of the 25th anniversary, so hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
Yeah, awesome. So March 12th, Down and Out in the City of Saints, out on Stomp Records. What's the URL? StompRecords.com?
It's not .ca
or
the Stomp Records URL is I think it's just stomprecords.com, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, so go there, buy the new Peelers album. There's some sweet vinyl variants. I had to stop myself from buying all the just splurging on all of them. So yeah, it looks like I'm excited for you guys to put this out there. I think it's gonna do big things, and I'm grateful that you blessed us with your presence as our first like real official guest.
Brother, complete honor to be asked. Thank you very much. And you know, Mike, I just met Scott, and Scott seems like a great guy. I've known you, Mike, for a little while, and always admired your taste in music, and so real honor to be asked to be part of this. You know, a little bit of justification for me. So
yes, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem.
We greatly appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to have you here this evening.
You bet. Anytime, guys. Like, we can do this again another time. Just let me know.
That sounds great.
Right. Yeah, we'll have you on for like, we'll do like an Oi episode or something. Just talk about all the old British bands.
Yeah, I'll pull all my vinyl. I'll pull it all out. We can just go through my vinyl collection.
There we go. We just have an episode where we just spin records. There it is.
This one.
Thanks, guys. Hey, that was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the support
Absolutely.
as well.
Down and Out in the City of Saints, out this Friday. Check it out, everybody.
Thanks, dudes.